You didn't turn it off. Over again. You just turn it off. No picture moving on, so you have to get to start all
Okay, the clue is that there's a red light.
Yeah. If there's no red light on the camera isn't on.
And the most pro-business White House in the history of the U.S. meets with business to order them to start spending and hiring.
Yeah, actually, you have to remember what I just got through saying before. So, no, it's just this is the same people that basically are yes men in Obama's Council on Business. Yesterday he had a meeting, had a luncheon with the heads of the organization that he appointed, and they gave the people today their talking points. But before that, the market was going up this morning. Then Obama comes in and says, it's up to you to start loosening the purse strings up on your businesses, to spend some of that $2 trillion that you've been hoarding, to start hiring people, and if you don't, the government will have to step in and do it for you. That's pro-businesses. And the market went just like this after those words. The government will have to step in and do it for you.
Yeah.
That's pro-business.
And White House refused. Oh, yeah, they're supporting business, aren't they?
Yeah, that's
because they're going to help them.
Yeah.
Okay, White House refused to allow pictures of Christmas tree to be taken by bloggies or cell phones at the White House media dinner.
They only wanted the one official picture of him by the Christmas tree because the president is a Muslim, folks.
He even took a picture by the Christmas tree?
Well, he had to have an official picture by the White House photographer, but he was afraid that the Muslims out there that that he kneels down to would see pictures of him talking to people by a representation of Christianity. He did not want anybody to see that, so he absolutely forbade reporters that were on his side from taking pictures.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh!
That means he's
humbug!
as an idiot, but also as a supporter of the Muslim world. So.
Well, that's why we get that idea.
Well, there's no truth to the rumor that 3 times a day he gets on his knees and prays to Mecca. He's doing his exercises at that time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh. Which who else does that?
Yeah. He just happens to be doing his exercises at the same time of the day.
At 3 times a day? Yeah. Which coincides.
Yeah.
Republicans are just starting to get the idea that Obama is not moving towards the center after all.
No, but that's not the Republicans in Washington, D.C. That's the Republicans that basically voted to put those people back in office. They all know that this is not a centrist president, folks. All you had to do is listen again today. The Republicans are bad for this nation. They think only of themselves, and they're trying to destroy our country by not passing the START treaty. Well, back to his hostage taking again by the other party, which is really not how to do bipartisanship.
Asylum seekers die after boat sinks off Australian island.
Yeah, because they don't want those people in their country. We're the only country in the world that's allowing people to come in mass anymore.
I know, they don't want them either.
Because they're not going to vote for whatever party's in charge. They basically formed their own little country like they're doing in the United States at the moment.
Democrats mold changes in tax bill despite the GOP warning.
Well, they said they don't think it's going to pass because there's I've done the figuring. They say virtually every member of the House and the Democratic Party is against it, and there's 56 members of the Republican Party that said they won't vote for it. And the Democrats want to raise taxes on the wealthy, and they want to they want to add more spending. So it's a dead deal in the House of Representatives. Republicans which added $360 billion to the Senate version, can't add anymore because they're already in trouble. I mean, Romney is against it. Huckabee is against. Basically, almost all the Republican top contenders have said this was a disaster.
Bloomberg seeking election law changes to increase voter turnout.
Yeah, the never-ending election. That way the Democrats get elected because, well, why should you have to come out on election day? Why don't you just, vote 3 months ahead of the election?
Well, maybe it might count then.
Yeah. They want to make certain that they can get they want to make certain, like in Nevada, where Sharon Ingle never had a chance because the election had already been settled before the election ever happened, with all of the early voting that never used to be allowed.
Well, do you remember how they did that test? Like, people would vote, and then it was always coming up Harry Reid?
Yeah.
I mean, come on!
Yeah,
and they didn't straighten that out ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the reason for bringing it forward?
That's right.
And Asian shares down amid Japan confidence drop.
Oh, God, it was a disaster this morning. I love this. they downgraded, for instance, in our country, downgraded Best Buy to a don't buy. The company,
They
the
did?
company is collapsing right now. I mean, it will rebuild, but basically, all of those grand plans that we heard of, but I heard there people talking about in November, they tanked. I mean, nobody's buying big high-ticket items. They're a big-ticket item business.
And authorities dismantle international child pornography ring.
Well, the problem is, it's not a pornography ring out of this country. There's no problem with this. Only, see, it's against the law in our country for showing 16-year-olds with no clothes on, but in England, 16-year-olds are naked in movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what we call pornography here is perfectly normal business in a lot of other countries.
And U.S. sues school over denial of Muslim pilgrimage.
Yeah. That's a good one. Basically, they don't allow Christians to have go on pilgrimages, but Muslims is different because.
But the U.S. is suing the school?
Yeah. Here it is. The Constitution says that we have a distinct and separate division between church and state, unless it's a Muslim, and then the ACLU will support that also because Muslims are special.
Well, what about everybody else?
No, it's just Muslims. The Muslims have an exception for everything.
Which is what gets people pissed off about them.
That's why you have a Muslim president that supports Muslim views with a Democratic Party that worships the ground that Muslims work on. And you wonder why the whole country hates Muslims.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Emmanuel testifies in Chicago residency hearing.
Well, the guy hasn't lived. The rules are very specific. You must actually live in the city for a year before the election. He came back 2 months ago. Owning a resident there, it says live in the city.
Yeah, he was living in D.C., wasn't
and
he?
He said, well, they're trying to penalize me because I was called to service by the president. Well, no, when he was a congressman, he lived in the city. He stopped living totally in the city when he left the city, and he hasn't lived there in 3 years.
White House says health law rollout unaffected.
Well, they said they're going to ignore the fact that the judge said you can't raise a tax on people because the law is very specific. It says it is a voluntary penalty.
Zuckerberg named Times Man of the Year.
Oh yeah, he was actually going to be Julian Assange, but Times got so much flack from people that they said, well, that they thought that he didn't warrant it. Well, actually, they did. Look at the picture on the Times thing. It is a really quickly photoshopped picture to put him on that page. But
you know what? He's still the Man of the Year.
Yeah, but it was Julian Assange. But they basically, the advertisers would have buried Times.
They would have been very upset with that.
Okay. The trick was after Obama got the usage of Assange, that he could get usage out of it, has our Justice Department going after now Assange. So you would not name Adolf Hitler the Man of the Year.
Wasn't he named Man of the Year?
Not after he started World War II.
Oh, not after World War II. Yeah, that's true.
Then the world was unhappy with him. When he was named Man of the Year, he was doing something great. But after he wasn't doing anything great, they wished they'd never had done it. So this time, Time magazine knew it was not a good thing to do, and they basically undecided what they decided. So
the Bellagio bandit takes off with $1.5 million in chips.
I know. I mean, that's first of all, we know you can't go into those buildings with a mask or hat on.
I know.
We've actually found that out. We went to a party, and we went to a Fat Tuesday party, and they made everybody take off the mask that they were wearing to go to the party. You cannot go into one of those casinos with a helmet covering your face, which meant it was an inside job totally. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in that national grab.
And Putin is an internet success.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's the biggest thing. Most people, I didn't know, we didn't know he could sing or play the piano, but we didn't think the man spoke English. Isn't that amazing? He speaks English well enough to basically, it was really good. I mean, this guy had been working on his thing, unpegos and mic and walks around with it. You don't talk in rehearsal. And
I know.
What I'm unhappy about is Kevin Costner isn't a left-wing Democrat, and he was there at this empty building where they put a bunch of people down on tables in the front promoting Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, and there was, Kevin Costner, Sharon Stone,
and Goldie Hawn.
And Kurt Russell.
They were left Democrats. I thought Costner was a Republican.
I thought he was too.
Well, definitely not at that event he wasn't, because that was...
Oh, he was there for the children.
Yeah.
He was a celebrity event.
Just
Just because they show up doesn't mean they support
there
it.
wasn't very many celebrities.
It was in Russia.
I know, but they do have Russian celebrities too. And there were
I know.
It was just a bunch of tables set in an empty room, making it look like they were having a good time for children.
And a Monty Bubbleism from the Mark Twain and the Animal Kingdom.
Okay, if you tend to listen to what the fools are saying, it's more than likely you're a fool yourself.